Hello, another video from the Angry Photographer here. I was just in my living room taking some stroboscopic shots of a gyroscope for an article I have on geomagnetic precession. Thought I'd show you a quick trick, something fun that you can do. It's also about expanding your skills. Right now I have an SB910 speed light attached. Also work with an SB800 or an SB900. And I just have a black background over here. The light behind me would normally be off. I just have a kitchen light on over there. And what I'm doing is I'm in my repeating flash mode, and I've actually set my exposure value really low. I've got f22 on my camera, so I've got an extreme depth of field. What I'm doing is I'm actually just swinging an object in front of the camera, and I'm shooting at here over 1 second at f22, but I wanted to show you something neat to do. Right now I've got my time set for 16 times, so I'm going to get 16 flashes, and I'm going to enter in again under time and megahertz, and the hertz rate, usually for like a time exposure shot between 5 and 10 hertz. Right now I have it set on 7 hertz. Let me back up with the camera here, and let me go back to just air over a second. And what I've done is I've actually also taken some shell shots, and I've just dangled them on a thin black string. Now if any of those strings actually show up on the shell, I just immediately erase them in Photoshop. It takes less than a minute really. But right now I'm at 16 strobes at 7 hertz, 16 flashes. Okay, I have a longer exposure there, and you experiment with it like anybody else does. It's going to take you a while. Let me show you some of my shell shots that I took. And you have to experiment with the cycle rate. And let me show you, I did a few gyroscopic processional shots into my hand. Believe it or not, you think, well, you can't hold still. If you got some very minor blur, that's no big deal. But here you can see, you're seeing the gyroscopic procession, and this is just me, freestanding, holding the gyroscope in my hand. And let me roll over to another shot. Here you can see the procession. My hand looks still. It's actually perfectly sharp. You can hold your hand still for, second, 2-3 seconds. If there's very slight blur, which actually there is in this one, I think this is a 2-second exposure, it's no big deal. People are watching it for, let me see here we go. Here's actually the effect that I was going for. It only took me 4 tries to get it right because I've done this before. Here you can actually see the gyroscope, and you can see the procession, and you can see that the flywheel is kind of blurred out. And it's an excellent shot. It's exactly what I was going for to show geomagnetic precession. Now normally I would have my light behind me here turned off, but to be able to see what I'm doing in front of the lens, if you have a little bit of side light like this pouring in through my kitchen like I do, it's no big deal. It's not going to affect your exposure really. And you could drape, if you don't have a muslin backdrop, it's no big deal either. Just take a black blanket or something, and however, you can buy one for 15 bucks or go down to the fabric store. But it's going to take you less than 20 minutes to learn this, and you're going to have so much fun, and you're going to create pictures and show them to people, and they're going to go, oh my god, wow, how did you do that? The one thing I'd advise against is that during the experimentation process, when you actually trip the shutter with the remote trigger, I'm actually just tripping it by hand. I didn't whip out the remote trigger this time. Is that you close your eyes, because your eyes are going to be subjugated to a significant amount of flashes. And let me scroll through some of my pictures here. And you're going to think, well, there's a lot of shells that you've got right there, and here's some other ones. That was too much exposure. Here we go, and it was back to the gyroscope. People think, well, that's pretty neat. That's all one shell that's swinging back and forth. All I'm doing is dangling the shell like a pendulum too much exposure there, also there. It's experimenting with higher frequencies. You have to take 30 shots to get one nice shot, and after a while, like here's a not exactly what I'd call a perfect shot. Far from it. Adjust some of the contrast. But you spin the object in your hand and then let it have a pendulous motion in front of the camera, and you got your camera on your tripod, and you just hit the shutter release button and you've got it. Like I said, I've got light streaming in around the corner over here, so you need enough light to see by, but there's no worry about it affecting your shot because I have my camera, stopped down to f16 right now. I think it was at f22 before, doing some other shots, but 16 to 22, no big deal. It's not going to affect anything. You set your ISO levels too for your sensitivity if you want to change your depth of field. You have to remember that this is really simplex. And this is kind of what always amazes me, that people are so intimidated by doing this stuff. It's like, well, I've got a nice I've got a nice Nikon or Canon, and I've got a nice fancy speed light that'll do all this interesting stuff. It's like, what do I have to do? It's like, well, it's really difficult. You go take it out of TTL mode. You go up here till it says repeat. Then you adjust your time. Stick your camera in manual mode. Adjust. You're gonna have to experiment. You'll fine tune it really quickly. What I do is I tell people, like, if you do a 2-second exposure, to set your frequency and your hertz. I mean your number of flashes. Right now I've got it set for 16. I'm down here with my thumb. I'm gonna adjust it down to 5. Okay, and you're gonna dangle your shot, and you're going to find out, well, okay, that wasn't enough, or that was too much. It's going to take you an hour, I can say, to master it, because you are going to have to take multiple shots. I mean, the best pro in the world, when I was at photography school, I mean, you think it's like, well, and every shot they crank out is just awesome. No, I mean, they crank out, 95% of theirs are poop or rejects, and if they want to grab a quick awesome shot, obviously they can do it, but they experiment around and produce a large number of errant photographs. But shouldn't intimidate you. I go over to my hertz. You don't want to set your hertz too high, because the image that you're actually shooting will start to merge and blur into itself as it swings or whatever it is you're doing. Just remember that your camera, along with your flash, is a time machine. It's not only about your shutter. When everything is dark, no matter what I have my strobe set here at, whatever it turns out the perfect shot is, it doesn't matter if I have a 2-second, let me turn the light back on, it doesn't matter if I have a 2-second shutter speed on my camera or a 5-second shutter speed on my camera. This is your second shutter right here. It's your flash. When you're talking about taking time exposures and doing special effects shots like this, you know how much you want to expose for. Ultimately, also, you're going to overexpose if you take it too far as far as time. But when it comes to this, I mean, it doesn't matter if the shutter speed of my camera is 2 seconds or a half a second, or upwards of 4 seconds. It doesn't really matter. You don't need to meter it. This isn't like the days of film. I mean, this crap was hard in the days of film. Even if you had tons of money, the issue was, and here I'll show you, I just have this piece of shell hanging from a piece of sewing thread. Really difficult. I spun up my gyroscope here, and I let it process in my hand, and I just held it out in front of the camera. You can actually hold your hand really darn still for a 2-second stroboscopic effect and time exposure on your camera. And this isn't difficult. I mean, this isn't hard stuff. You shouldn't be intimidated. My point was, back in the days of film, I'm starting to sound like an old person now. Even if you had tons of money, it's like, oh God, I got to process this crap. I got to write everything down about what I took, my exposure, and then I need to look at it after it's processed and look at the negative. Oh my God. And that is where a lot of this intimidation comes from. It's just a throwover from film. I mean, now it's like, okay, I'm going to scroll down here. Okay, that shot sucked, that shot sucked, that shot sucked. Oh, that's awesome. That's what I did. Okay, I'm going to tweak it a little bit more. Oh, that's better. That's better. What did I do there? Okay, I'm going to tweak it a little bit this way. Now that I've got the perfect shot here, I want a few more images of the shell. I need to drop it down a little bit more. I need to change my exposure a little bit. Okay, now I've got it. That's exactly what I wanted. I mean, back in the days of film, baby, I mean, it was intimidating. You know, even if you're a professional, even the professionals would roll their eyes at this kind of crap, even though they loved it and they produced great shots. You know, it's very time consuming. And now, I mean, it takes you, what took you days of looking at film and processing and whatnot, I mean, just takes a few seconds now. So you should not be intimidated by it at all. I mean, all you have to do is check and adjust, check and adjust. It's like, okay, it took me 3 minutes to get the perfect shot that I want, you know, because I'm not dealing with film here, baby. It's like, okay, there are my 3 attempts, here's my 4th, I got it right on the 4th try, which doesn't matter how skilled you are with doing this, it will take you that many times, because obviously the gyroscope is processing differently. You got to catch it at the right moment of procession, like I wanted here. I had to hold my hand perfectly still, and but hey, you know, I got the shot. And with digital SLRs, it's not difficult. And this is the shot that I wanted for the article that I'm writing. You should not be intimidated by it at all. I mean, let me talk about stick it and repeat mode, which I kind of do often too many times. I mean, you repeat yourself too much. Okay, whatever. I know I do. Sorry about that, PTSD, right? Number of times you want. Hit the button again. Boom. The hertz, like I said, really it should be between 5 and 10, but you can adjust that however you want. It depends on the speed of the moving subject, obviously, but I'm just using a gyroscope or a pendulous swinging shell on a string. But I got the shot that I want, and it only took me 3 minutes to not only do all the shots, to check and readjust. It took me 3 minutes to do all those shots. Back in the days of film, boy, that was a totally different story. So try this if you got a speed light and your Canon or your Nikon, and yeah, this isn't difficult, and you'll have a whole lot of fun. I mean, bouncing balls, anything with movement. Just remember that your camera is a time machine, and when it comes to shots like this, up to a point you have a really wide spectrum on your camera's shutter speed. Your ultimate shutter speed has defaulted, in essence, as a simplex analogy. Your shutter speed is defaulted to your flash. So everything else is about ISO and what your aperture is. Therefore, you know how much light is leaking into the back of your sensor, and you'll get an intuitive feel of that within a really short period of time. You just have to play with it, and this isn't difficult at all. So don't be intimidated by this stuff. I mean, I made it look really simple, and it is. It's like, well, God, you've been doing that for years and years. Yeah, but you know, if once I show you how to do it, you know, even if it's your first time, it's not going to take you more than, at your first time, it's not going to take you more than 3 times as long as it took me. You know, you're going to see, you're going to check your results, adjust, shoot, look, adjust, boom. I mean, 1 minute you're dialed in. Then it's all about taking multiple shots and changing your compositional value and looking for creating what is in your mind. Whatever is in your mind, making it appear on the back of this LCD here, making the camera capture what is in your mind. That's what professional photography is about. A lot of people are like, I can see in my head the shot that I want, but I don't know how to get it. I mean, that's the ultimate question that everybody asks in their head, even if they don't express it verbally. Anyway, another video from the Angry Photographer. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the shaky video. Okay.